Sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports here live on this Saturday morning. We got a special treat for you. The WTP Sports College Football Top 25 is going to drop this morning. I got my man SEC Sean, my partner when it comes to SEC football, in the house with us this morning. He's a huge Texas A&M fan. How you feeling this morning, SEC Sean?
Doing good. Been looking forward to this show. You know, wishing we could have some others on with us, but we know everybody's got a life going on. But I think there's some really good debate here when we get into these top 25, especially when we get further up the list into the top 10-ish with the closeness of everything. So looking forward to it. It's always fun to get on and chop it up, especially, you know, you get two Longhorns and a Longhorn and an Aggie going. There's no telling where this thing's going to head. But we'll get through it.
That's for sure. I'm very excited about this top 25 that we're going to drop as well. But we're going to mention some other teams that got votes, that received votes from WTP Sports when we did our rankings. And we're going to mention the Oklahoma State Cowboys. They got one of the votes. I know that you're really, really high on this team. You understand what they brought over from North Texas, the coach, the players. You're really familiar with that group. How do you feel about Oklahoma State this year?
Oklahoma State is going to surprise some people. Everybody saw what North Texas did last year. North Texas had a hell of a year. Granted, people are going to tell you the level of competition is not the Big 12. Well, I'm here to tell you that the Big 12 isn't all that either. You've got teams in there, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure the athletic ability is a little bit more, but look, when you have a coach who trusts in his players and players who trust in the system, if you got a coach who can take a kid who was a punter in high school and turn him into what Drew Mestamaker became last year, y'all better watch this Oklahoma State team. Are they in contention for the Big 12 title? No. Are they in contention for the college football playoff? No. Are they in contention to be what a uptick from where they were last year? 100%. This team, I could see this team 7-5-ish. It could be worse, but you tell me to look at the ceiling of Oklahoma State, and I'm going 7-5, potentially 8-4, because they're going to score. It's just, can they stop anybody?
Yeah, I like Oklahoma State too. I think what the coach is bringing, he's bringing his quarterback, he's bringing some weapons with him from North Texas to Oklahoma State. We definitely know they're not going to be as bad as they've been for the past 2 years. I expect them to be much better. I also have their ceiling at 7-5, but I can see them reaching 8-4. I'm really anxious to see this team get back to where they used to be several years ago. They played Texas in the Big 12 championship game. I like to see them get back to that positioning in the Big 12 again, and I think they're on the right track. So we're going to be watching this Oklahoma State team very, very closely this season.
Let me tell you something about Oklahoma State too to remember. I believe their second game of the season they get Oregon. I'm not expecting them to beat Oregon. I'm not predicting that in any way, shape, or form. But if this Oklahoma State team goes out there and can compete and put points on the board against what we feel is, and others do too, a very stout Oregon defense, the Big 12 is going to be put on notice pretty early.
They better not sleep on this Oklahoma State team, because they can come and win some games, especially at home. Some other teams that also received votes outside of our top 25 was Arizona and Boise State. What are your thoughts on these two teams, Arizona and Boise State? And do you see Boise State being the team from the group of five with the best chance of making it to the college football playoffs?
I do not. I think Boise State is a solid program. I think Boise State gets a little bit more love because it's Boise State and they've done it before. I don't think they're the best group of five. If you ask me, I'm looking at UNLV. You know me, I'm looking at Hawaii as a shot. So I think BYU gets a lot of, well, they've been the best group of five forever, so let's just put them as the best group of five to start, and we'll see what happens. I'm just not a fan of it. As Arizona goes, I mean, Arizona's got a hell of a quarterback, but I just don't know that Arizona has all the pieces they need to compete for, say, a playoff berth or whatever. They might be able to catch some teams, but I consider them the fourth or fifth best team even in their conference. So I think that's about right, because I think the Big 10's the Big 12 has some good squads over there this year, but I think they're just a step behind some of the upper echelons, and that's just why I think they should be just on the outside. I think they're ranked about right, just outside the top 25.
Yeah, I think both of those teams are ranked right about right. I like that Arizona team. I think they got a really experienced quarterback, and they're going to be better, but we find them right outside of our top 25. Maybe they will make it inside the top 25 once it's all said and done. But for Boise State, I think they have a chance to make it to the college football playoffs. But like you, I think UNLV is the front runner from the group of five teams to make it to the college football playoffs this year. And we haven't given UNLV a lot of votes yet, but we think their scheduling, the team that they have, we feel like they are probably have the best chance of making it to the college football playoffs outside of those teams that are in the group of five. The next step on right outside of our top 25, we have Missouri and Clemson. What's your thoughts on these two teams? We got one team from the ACC, another team from the SEC. What do you think about these two teams? They both have some big matchups on their schedule. Do you think either one of these teams will finish the season in the top 25?
Will they finish in the top 25? I don't think Missouri will. I think Missouri's schedule is too daunting. We're going to be 100% real. We all pray and hope that Mr. Ahmad Hardy is 100% healthy. I just don't see it. I see him taking some time to be ready. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't heard anything come out of Missouri. The only stuff I did hear was it was made out to be not real bad, and it was worse than it was made out to be. So we're going to see. They do have a capable backup out there in Missouri, don't get me wrong. And we know Drinkowitz loves to run that outside zone. We know that. And that's fine. I'm concerned about their quarterback play. I don't think Austin Simmons is the answer there. We'll see what happens. But I think Missouri's defense is going to take a massive step back too. And their schedule, I mean, you've got an A&M on there. I don't know if y'all play them or not, but I know we play them. Do y'all play them too? Yeah. I mean, I know they're going to get teams like Oklahoma and stuff. I just think Missouri's in for a down year this year. Clemson, 5 years ago, Clemson would have never been down here out of the top 25. Clemson would have been in the top 10. I'm going to say it, ever since Venables left, and I'm not a Brent Venables fan. I think he's a hell of a defensive coach. I'm not sure he's a head coach, but he's doing well at Oklahoma. But since he's left, Clemson is starting to fall down every year. They're getting worse. We're going to see what happens. I think they brought a new offensive coordinator in. Didn't they bring Chad Morris in? Mm-hmm. Please take him, because Chad Morris is not good. He was a good OC. He was a terrible head coach But we'll see what we're going to get out of Clemson. If any of these teams is in the top 25 at the end of the season, I think it's going to be Clemson because, I think Missouri's schedule is way too rough for what they've got this year. I think Clemson being in the ACC, which isn't to knock any ACC fans, but they have a lot easier schedule road to get the wins to put them in the top 25.
Yeah, for me, I agree with you. Missouri, they just have too tough of a road. They got a whole bunch of question marks. We know their defense is going to take a step back. Offensively, we don't know if Austin Simmons is really going to be the man that's going to be able to make it happen for them. We know that Ahmad Hardy may not be there at the beginning of the season, but their backup is really, really good. He's a starter caliber running back. And I think that Missouri, because of their schedule, it's going to be really, really tough for them to make it into the top 25. Clemson, on the other hand, they get LSU in the beginning. So if they can get that win there, they can go through the ACC pretty easily, except for those three major matchups they got. So they can finish 8-4 and be in the top 25. And I would think they would be the team that could do that. Let's get into our top 25, and I'm going to drink some water after I announce who our top 25 team is. At 25 is Florida. What's your thoughts on the Florida Gators? You on mute, SEC Sean.
Oh, I sure was. I'm going to say this real quick before we get, now that we're into these, the graphics you can tell are obviously different as we're moving up because I think they deserve, if you're in the top 25, a better graphic. But I'm going to go ahead and preface this for future graphics that'll be coming up. I tried to get some of the coaches. Some of them just didn't come out looking exactly like themselves. So if you look at it and you go, that's not him, but just come on. I tried. So just to throw that out there, because there's a couple that I look at and I went, oh, no. Especially my coach. He does not look right, but it is what it is. Florida. This is a tough one because I honestly feel to be in the 25th position, the two teams we just talked about could have been here too. I think there's a group of teams that could be right here. But Florida got the nod through us because I'm pretty sure that people trust John Summerall. You have a running back sitting right there as a returner, Jaden Ball. Dallas Wilson is an elite wide receiver. Florida always has defensive players. They're always very athletic on that D line and their linebackers. The questions for me with Florida are, what are we going to get from the quarterback? If the quarterback can be above average to good in that range, I think Florida's a 6-6, 7-5-ish type team. I think Summerall's the right coach for Florida. I think if you're a Florida Gator fan and I told you, hey, y'all are going to go 7-5 this year, I think you take that after what it's been for the past couple of years, because then you can see we're building something. We'll see how it plays out, but their schedule has also dropped back because if you remember the past 2 years, Florida has had the hardest schedule in college football. And they get away from that. I don't know what they did. I guess they made a trade agreement with Arkansas and said, here, take this. And or Arkansas. But that's what I see Florida. I could see Florida creeping up. I could see Florida falling off if the quarterback play is terrible. I could see Florida going 4-8 again.
Yeah, for me, having Florida at 25 is a real good position for them. I really like John Summerall. I mean, I love Jaden Ball. I was kind of hoping he was going to hit the portal and Texas was going to be able to swoop him up after they had gotten that running back coach. I like their defensive guys. I like Dallas Wilson. Like you said, what is the quarterback going to be like for Florida? Is he going to be able to help them win games? Because he got weapons around him that can help him get the job done. And I think every team that comes into the swamp, you better be ready to get to go against a team that's going to be ultra focused and ready. Because John Summerall's going to have those guys ready. And I agree with you. Their schedule did take a step back. And that's why another reason why we had them in our top 25, because they won't have that grueling schedule like they had the past 2 seasons. And this year they got a winnable schedule that will allow them to get into the top 25 by the end of the season. We got them right there at 25. I like that when we got them positioned that I hope that they have a successful season because 4-8 is not going to get it done in Florida.
Right.
We're coming in at 24 with Utah. What's your thoughts on the Utah Utes? Big 12 team. I think we had them right around 5th in our prediction show. What's your thoughts on Utah?
I don't know. New coach. Lost some players that went with the coach to Michigan. Had some players drafted. Couple of offensive tackles. So I don't know. I like their quarterback. I like him a lot. So we're going to see. I expect a step back from Utah. Okay. I'm not saying they're going to go 4-8 or anything, but I would expect a step back. And 4th or 5th in the Big 12 seems about right to me. That's where we had them. They're kind of one of those teams that if you get them early, you have a better shot. I think once they spend more time in the system and what's going on out there, I think they're going to be better later in the year. So I could see them going on a run at the end of the year, winning the last, say, 4 games or something, and boosting their ranking up. But I could see them beating a BYU because, the rivalry, and they start figuring things out. I could see them. I don't think they don't play Texas Tech this year, I don't think. So they've got a decent schedule too when it comes to who they have to play. I just think they're going to take a step back. I would see them more of an 8-4-ish finishing the season. But that's just kind of where I am on Utah.
Yeah, I like the pieces that Utah still have there. I like Devin Dampier. I like their coach. Utah has really been a really good program. Going way back to I think, was Urban Meyer there at Utah? I think when Urban Meyer was there at Utah before he went to Florida, I think that's where Urban Meyer was at. They've been a good program since then, and we know what Cal Willingham has done there. I think Morgan's going to go right in and keep the thing rolling. They are going to take a step back this year because Houston is a lot better. BYU is BYU, and we know what Texas Tech is. With the money they've thrown around, they got a really, really good roster, a really talented roster. So we see those teams as the top teams in the Big 12, and then you get your Utahs and your Arizonas. But I really like this Utah team. I don't think that they're going to make it to the college football playoffs or anything, but right there at 24 is a good spot for them. And for those of you who just joined us, we had Florida at 25, Utah at 24. Now we're going to go on to number 23, where we have the Iowa Hawkeyes. We're going to talk about Iowa a little bit. What do you think about this Iowa team? We know that they play really, really good defense. They're in the Big Ten, which is a really, really tough conference. What's your thoughts on Kurt? I don't want to mess his last name up. What's your thoughts on this Iowa team?
Yeah, I believe it's Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah.
I'll mess it up because I'm good at it. I do it all the time. I was that team. If they have to go on the road, okay. But if you have to go there and play them, there's both those Iowa schools. If you have to go to their stadium, it is insane. There's some voodoo going on or something. They're going to be defense first. This is a coach who believes that defense, running the ball, field position is how you win football games. And look, he's good. Okay. I'm not going to argue with the man, but Iowa just doesn't have the athletic squad that it's going to need in the Big Ten. They can't match up athlete for athlete with Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, Michigan, USC. They have to play the perfect game and keep the ball away like they want to. And we've seen them do it. We've seen them upset teams before, okay? They almost upset, Oregon last year, I believe. Oregon had to have a crazy fourth quarter comeback on them. They have to get quarterback play that's solid. That's all they want. They don't want Julian saying, Arch Manning, Fernando Mendoza. I mean, they'd love to have them. Don't get me wrong. But they just want that guy. Make the right read, make the right throw. Don't turn the ball over. If we can't move the ball, we'll punt down the field and we'll rely on our defense to hold them. That's how Iowa wants to play. And they're going to catch some teams. They're probably 5th, 6th, 7th in the Big Ten, right in that range of a couple other teams too. So, but they're a boring team to watch if you're into new football. Now, if we're playing in the 1980s, this is the exact style you played. But nowadays, people will tell you it's boring football, but it worked for him and it worked for his program, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I agree with you too on that. I mean, they're going to play really good defense. We know that. Can they get offensive weapons there in Iowa to help them go to the next level? We watched them a couple of years ago in the Big Ten championship game against Michigan, and they just looked putrid. They had absolutely no offense, so they couldn't compete with a Michigan team that only just wanted to run the football in that game, and they were able to do it, and I think they beat Iowa like 20-0. I feel like if Iowa can get solid quarterback play, they always have good tight ends, they always have a good running game, they can play keep away and make your team's offense sit on the sideline, which we know this Big Ten conference has a lot of really good offenses. And that's probably why they're at 23 on our list, simply because they don't have the type of offense that the rest of these guys that's ranked ahead of them have. I think that Kurt Ferentz has got to figure out a way to get him some of them more talented wide receivers, maybe a quarterback who can also use his legs a little bit. I like the quarterback they have out of Olentangy Orange. He played a really good bowl game last year against, I think they played Vanderbilt. They play really good defense. If that quarterback can play a little bit better, maybe we'll see Iowa make it into the top 4 in the Big Ten. But right now, we got them right around 5, 6, or 7. But I like Iowa and what they've been consistent at doing year in and year out in the Big Ten. Next up at 22, we got the Louisville Cardinals, a team that we really like a lot. We like the Brown brothers and what they're able to do with their staff and with the players that they have. We're high on them because they got some weapons, man, and we really feel like they're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the ACC. Give me your thoughts on Louisville, and do you think they make it to the ACC championship game, especially if they can win that big game against SMU?
Yeah, they can make it to the ACC championship game. This Louisville team I like. I think this is Coach Brahms' best team. I'm not saying it's his best offense. I'm not saying it's his best defense. I think it's the best he's had at one time on both sides. Their question is going to be, we're going to learn right out the gate. They get Ole Miss. We're going to learn a lot about both of those squads week one. Louisville kind of reminds me of a team that if they have a rough start to a season, they almost pack it in and just rebuild for next year. And you just can't do that. Not when you haven't even started conference. If they get blown out by Ole Miss, they got to keep their heads up because they don't face Miami. They have their one key matchup. There's more than this, but the one matchup everybody's looking at is Louisville SMU. And everybody believes probably the winner of that game is going to get Miami because those three teams don't play each other. So the winner of that game is probably going to be Miami's counterpart in the ACC championship game. But I like this Louisville team. I really thought that Isaac Brown was going to transfer out after last year. I really did. And I was doing dances. I was doing all kinds of stuff because I know that there would have been a bag coming out of College Station to that kid. But he stayed, and I commend it. I like it. I'd rather kids stay at their school. I really would. I wish transfers weren't a thing, but that's a whole nother topic we can get into. But I think this Louisville team's going to be good. I do have them finishing third in the ACC in my rankings because I think Miami and SMU are the two best teams here. But we'll see what happens. I like Coach Braun. I'm really shocked he's still at Louisville too, to be honest with you. I think that guy would have gotten an Auburn, Florida. But he likes Louisville. And again, I come into coach who wants to stay where he feels comfortable and he's built something.
Yeah, I'm high on Louisville as well. What I want to see Louisville do though, because they have these laws every season where they have themselves in position to make it to the championship game, and then they lose a game, preferably at home a lot of times, a game that they should win, and they ended up losing it, and they end up not making it to the ACC championship game. This year, they get one of those games against SMU, and like you, I feel like whoever wins that game between Louisville and SMU will get Miami in the championship game. We're going to go on to number 21, a team that we're really, really high on, that we think is really, really talented. We got them at 21, but man, I'm telling you right now, they could probably be higher than this, and I really feel like they might end up higher than this once the season ends, and that's the Houston Cougars. 10-3 last year. What's your thoughts on Willie Fritz's team? I know you're super high on them, probably higher on them than anybody in WTP Sports. What's your thoughts on this Houston Cougars team?
I might be higher on them than anybody outside of the city of Houston. I like this Houston team. I like Willie Fritz. That man is a coach through and through. He takes rosters. He was the head coach, won a national championship at Sam Houston State. Granted, had a really good roster there, but it was, Division II or FCS, whatever you want to call it. But I like Willie Fritz. I knew it was going to take a couple years. He had to get his people. He got, I'm not going to say lucky, but he got lucky that Connor Wegman left A&M and decided to go to Houston, because Connor could have gone numerous other places. But being Connor is from just in Houston, outside of it, in Cypress, Bridgeland High School. He went back home, and Willie got a huge boost from that. I love this Houston team. Amari Thomas, one of the elite wide receivers in college football. It's slipping my name right my mouth right now, but the recruit they brought in, the true freshman, quarterback / athlete / do everything. I can't remember the kid's name right offhand, but he was phenomenal, 5-star. The question's going to be, will the defense step up? This team's going to score points. Will the defense do enough? I think so. This is my pick to win the Big 12. And I know they came in low on the lower in the 20s on our rankings, but I promise you, I didn't have them in the 20s on my sheet. They need to put it together. They're going to have plenty of support from the fan base. The big test is going to be Tech. If they can beat Tech, I think, you can go ahead and pencil them into the Big 12 title game. If they lose to Tech, I think they can still get there. They just beat everybody else and hope. They probably have to have some hope because I don't think they play BYU this year. But then they could get a rematch with Tech. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. I'm really high on this Houston Cougar team.
Yeah, I'm high on Houston as well. I got them coming in on my board as the number 3 team in the Big 12. I like Willie Fritz. I mean, any coach would love to have a veteran quarterback like Connor Wickman, a dog at wide receiver, and Amari Thomas. I feel like the defense is going to be better than it was last year. And you made a valuable point. The defense has to play complementary football and help that offense because that offense is going to score some points. And like you said, if they can beat Tech, we definitely will see Houston in that championship game. I think if Tech probably has the easiest road to go 12-0, probably of anybody in the country. And I think that they probably will finish there at that point. But Houston, man, they got a golden opportunity here to make it to the Big 12 championship and find themselves with a chance to make it to the college football playoffs. I'm high on Houston as well, but I really feel like they're the 3rd best team in that conference. But by the time it ends, though, they could be the number 1 team in the Big 12. We're going on to
Keyshawn. Keyshawn Henderson. Let me get that guy's name out there.
Yeah.
I needed to get that out there. That was bugging the hell out of me, and it was going to all day.
Right. Let's go to number 20 on our board, the 20th ranked team in WTP Sports predictions. We got number 20, Penn State. Insert Matt Campbell. He's bringing a bunch of his Iowa State guys to Penn State. Penn State finished the season 7-6 last year. Penn State was one of the teams that was ranked in the top 5 last year in just about everybody's rankings before the season started. They had a horrible season. They finished 7-6. We expect them to rebound. They also got a favor from the scheduling gods. What's your thoughts on Matt Campbell and this Penn State Nittany Lion team?
Love Matt Campbell. Love what he built while he was at Iowa State. I had him in my top 25, but I think I had him at 25 when I voted. It's going to be rough, but what's the word I'm looking for? You mentioned the scheduling gods, and that's the prime way to put it. If they had Penn State scheduled last year, they would not be in this top 25. The only reason Penn State is getting put in top 25s around the country is because of that schedule. Big Ten guys on our show with the WTP Sports, they'll tell you the same thing. Penn State's got the great schedule that they need. And that's probably true. But they're not going to compete for the Big Ten title. They're not that team. It's going to take Matt Campbell a little bit of time. He did bring a lot of Iowa State guys over. I'm going to say it again, and it's going to cause problems, and I don't care. The Big Ten is not the Big 12. Your stud players in the Big 12, it's a different animal in the Big Ten. Not saying they can't do it. Not saying Matt Campbell doesn't know that. I just think I think Penn State is going to be good. I could see them going 10-2. And at 10-2, I could still see them missing the college football playoff because of that schedule. I think another 9-3 Big Ten school would get the nod over them. So, like Matt Campbell, though, I expect in the next year or so, you're going to see Penn State really, really being up there with the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Michigans, the Indianas for that Big Ten title.
Yeah, I really like Matt Campbell too, and I think he's the perfect coach for Penn State, and the style he likes to play when he was at Iowa State is a perfect fit to me for the Big Ten. Now he just got to get the players, like you mentioned, that can play in the Big Ten, like you see your Ohio States, your Michigans, and teams like that. And once he gets that done, he's going to really be a really good coach at Penn State. I think that Penn State can go 10-2 as well because of their schedule, but I agree with you. At 10-2, you might think that that's a good enough record to make it to the college football playoffs, but trust me, at 10-2, Penn State is not going to be able to compete with those other teams that's going to make that college football playoffs. They just don't have the dudes on that roster. But I really like Matt Campbell. I think they're going to have a bounce back year, which is going to help them with recruiting. And also, he's also been good at getting guys out of the portal as well that want to play his style of play. Because as we all know, and me as a Texas fan, Matt Campbell gave us fits with his 3-star, no-star guys doing us business against our 5-star. So I really like Matt Campbell, and I think he's the right coach for Penn State.
What people need to remember, too, is, yes, he brought in a bunch of his players from Iowa State. But a bunch of the former Penn State players left too.
Mm-hmm.
So so a lot of those players are sitting down in Virginia Tech right now.
Yeah. Now we're going to get inside of our top 25, inside of our top 20. We got 25, we have Florida. At 24, we had Utah. At 23, we had Iowa. At 22, we had Louisville. At 21, we had Houston. At 20, we had Penn State. We're going to number 19, and at 19, we got the SMU Mustangs, a team that we are really high on here at WTP Sports. We feel like they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the ACC. They've been one of the best teams in the ACC since they've been there, and this is their 3rd year. I think they've only lost maybe 2 or 3 games in this conference. They finished 9-4 last year. What's your thoughts on Rhett Lashley's SMU Mustangs? Kevin Jennings, an ultra experienced dude. Do you think they get it done and be that team that meets Miami for the ACC title?
Well, I think they do. I apologize to Mr. Kevin Jennings. I don't know what happened to his picture. Kevin, I love you, man. I've loved you since you was in high school, brother. But I don't know what happened here. I like SMU. SMU was a doormat of college football after the NCAA screwed them like they've done no other school since when they handed down the death penalty. It took a while. They were terrible. They had a couple of seasons, and then it went back to terribleness. And then Lashley came in. And Rhett Lashley made the statement that we're going to keep kids home. And he started building relationships with South Oak Cliff, Duncanville. These are the powerhouses up in that area, 3 of the powerhouses up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And he started bringing those kids to SMU, and now you're starting to see it. Now kids want to go to SMU. It's not just Texas A&M, Texas Tech that are my choices as a 5-star. I can go to SMU, and they're going there. So, like this SMU team a lot. I need Kevin Jennings to move more. I'm comparing Kevin Jennings and another quarterback we'll get to in the top 10 that they need to use their legs a little more. They don't need to just sit in the pocket. Yes, that's great, but that's not their game. Their game is, yeah, they can throw it, but you need to move around. But I like this team. I need the defense to be a little more opportunistic. They tend to let a lot of big plays happen, but that's how they play. And I'm not going to knock it. It's done well for them. They've been in the ACC for 2 years, and I think they have 2 losses in the ACC, 2 or 3. Miami has like 4. So this team is good. It's still building. It's still rising. The problem I see is I don't see Lashley sticking around there too much more longer, maybe a couple years, and I think somebody's going to throw a bag at him. And I'd love for him to stay. I just don't know that he will if somebody like Alabama throws something at him. But I like this SMU team. They're my pick to meet Miami in the ACC championship game.
Yeah, me as well. I got SMU meeting Miami in that ACC championship game. I really like Red Lashley. I really love Kevin Jennings, even though that picture didn't come out right. Listen, I feel like this has been the best team in the ACC since they got there. I mean, nobody can match them record-wise. They played in some really good football games inside that conference. I think that they're the second best team in that conference this year. They have a chance to make it to the college football playoffs. I know a couple of years ago when they made it, we all knew that they weren't quite ready to play with those big boys, and it showed. But I like this SMU team. They've been very consistent. They got a really good NIL program, and I think they're going to be one of the teams that's going to be able to last in this era of NIL. They're going to always be in the thick of thing in the ACC as long as that conference is still in existence. I expect SMU to be right there with a possible chance of making it to the college football playoffs. We go on from number 19 at SMU to number 18, where we got the Tennessee Vols, a team that we know has the ability to be a good team, better than their 8-5 record, but they just happen to be in the SEC, where it is very, very, very tough to play in the SEC. When you look at some of those teams in the SEC, where do you think this Tennessee team will finish, and how high are you on Josh Heupel?
I'm not a Josh Heupel guy. I think Josh Heupel's offensive strategy is, okay, which quarterback has the biggest arm? Okay, which guys are the fastest? Okay, just run and we're just going to throw it as far as we can and hope. Especially, I mean, he's got an electric running back. Deshaun Bishop is an electric back. Got to figure out who's going to be quarterback. One day you hear it's Faison, and one day you hear it's the other kid. I don't know who they're going to go with. I don't think Heupel knows. But everybody says, trust in Heupel. He's the quarterback whisperer. Well, there's a lot of coaches that have been that. Jimbo Fisher was that too, and it didn't work out for him too well. So Tennessee is going to have to figure out the offense. Tennessee's defense is going to be good. Tennessee's going to have cornerbacks. They always do. But Tennessee's cornerbacks have a tendency to try to bite on plays too much and get beat over the top. They had Georgia beat down last year. And then they let Gunnar Stockton just start dropping balls over the top of them. And Georgia came back to win. But Tennessee's defense is going to be really good. I see Tennessee that I think their floor is 8. I think their ceiling is 10. And I think there's a couple of swing games, one being the Texas A&M game and one being the Alabama game. If they drop both of those, I could actually see them going 7-5 in the regular. I just could. But if they can split those, I could see an 8-4.
Yeah, for me, for Tennessee, man, I really feel like they don't know who their quarterback is going to be, and whoever it's going to be, it's either going to be a true freshman or a redshirt freshman in the SEC with that schedule that they have. Man, it's going to be really, really tough. But I agree with you. Their defense is going to be really good and can keep them in some games. Can Josh Heupel get whoever is quarterback up to speed and use his running game to set up those passes that he want to get down the field? If he's able to do that, their offensive line can stay healthy and they can run the football well, and he can change his philosophy a little bit because of the youngness of his quarterback that he's going to have starting, then I think this team can definitely go at least 8-4. But they play some juggernauts in the SEC, bro, and it's going to be tough. I think that the good thing for them is they get a couple of those good teams at home, so they might have an opportunity later on in the season to get one of those swing games or maybe even get two of those swing games. We'll have to wait and see. But I really don't see them being able to beat Alabama, Texas A&M, or Texas, in my opinion. Even though Texas has to travel to them early in the season, that's a better chance for them. But when you got a true freshman or redshirt freshman quarterback, and you think about that Texas defense and Will Muschamp, they're going to try to ultra confuse that young quarterback. So that's 3 losses possibly on their schedule right there, and that puts them at least 9-3. We'll have to wait and see. I like Josh Heupel for the most part. I just think at some point he's going to have to change his offensive philosophy and not throw so many deep balls. You can get away with that against those lesser competition, but when you start playing against the better SEC team, it just ain't happening.
Well, think about some of the defensive backs we've talked about in the SEC. I mean, we had teammates at safety from Alabama. You had KJ Bolden, the number 1 safety. We had Dalton Brooks. We had Jelani McDonald. And then we had Marcus Ratcliffe, Peyton Bowen. So there's DBs in the – so throwing the ball deep against elite coverage cornerbacks is going to end up biting you eventually.
Yeah. Peace to our man post game. He's out there in the chat. We're on to number 17, and at 17, we have the Washington Huskies, a team that we felt like last year played really good defense. The offense didn't get really going until later on in the season. We really got to see how good that offense was in that bowl game. What do you think about this team up under Jed Fish? I really thought Jed Fish was going to get plucked from Washington with all those coaching vacancies last year, but he decides to stay. What do you think about this Washington Huskies team and their chances of being in the top 4 or 5 in the Big Ten?
Washington, when I watched them last year, there was a lot of hype about Washington too. And then I watched Ohio State roll out there and just manhandle them. They just shut that team down. Now, that Ohio State team was pretty good on defense last year. But it just seems like Washington, when they come across a team with a defensive pulse, they struggle. They just can't. It's almost like their offense, and I'm not saying it is, but it seems like their offense is so simple to defend that teams with good defenses and good defensive coordinators can just lock into it and shut it down. I like Damon Williams. I think he's great. I just think something has to be – they're a good Big Ten school. They're not a Tier 1 Big Ten school. They're middle of Tier 2-ish. USC, Washington, those kind of teams. They're right in there in that range. Illinois is in that range with me. But that's just how I feel about Washington. I don't see them beating any of the upper echelon teams, but I think they'll do well against teams like them in the Big Ten. And I think they're fifth, sixth place team in the Big Ten. That seems about right.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I like this Washington team. I don't think they're upper echelon in the Big Ten. The good thing about them, though, is the fact that I think they get all three of the West Coast teams that's with them. They get UCLA, they get Oregon, they get USC, which means that they're not going to have to travel as much to the East Coast as they probably had to do in the first two seasons in the Big Ten. So that might help them a lot to not have to take all of those road trips where you got to go to the Midwest or to the East Coast. I think they're going to finish about where they finished last year, probably around 6, 7, or 8 in this conference. It just depends on what Iowa does, what Penn State does. But I really feel like when you look at Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, they're probably the 4 best teams in this conference. And I don't think that they're going to be able to make it into that top 4. But I think this is a Washington team that Jeb Fish has ready to play some really good football. They just don't have the luxury of being in the Big 12 or the ACC. They got to go play in the Big 10 where we know there's some really, really good football being played there. We're going to go down to the next team that's in our top 25. We're right there at number 16, and we come in with the BYU Cougars, a team that we're high on in the Big 12. What's your thoughts on the BYU Cougars? And I know you picked Houston to be the eventual champs of the other Big 12. How do you think Siaki and his team will fare in this division? Because I think they have a pretty favorable schedule too, outside of playing Utah and playing Notre Dame. Their schedule, I think they might play. No, they don't play Houston or Texas Tech, so they got a pretty favorable schedule outside of those 2 teams that I just mentioned, Notre Dame and Utah.
Yeah. Their schedule is definitely in their favor. I think Kalani is the right fit out there. I love their running back. I love LJ Martin. The only concern I have is Bear Buckmeyer, the quarterback. They've got to find some weapons to throw the ball to. They've got to be able to throw the ball to take some. Normally, it's the running back takes the pressure off the quarterback. They need the quarterback to take the pressure off the running back. Because until BYU proves they can throw the ball down the field and move things, or teams are going to stack the box and say, beat us. And until they do, that's how teams are going to handle them. They're going to try to stop LJ Martin because that's the bell cow of this offense. But they're going to have a good offensive line. We know that. They're going to be good on defense. We've talked about a few of their players. Evan Johnson, you see him on the screen, and Faletu Satuala. Those 2 players are going to be extremely critical for this BYU defense. I do have Houston winning the Big 12, but BYU's schedule is so favorable. So is Texas Tech's. It's going to make it hard for Houston. I like Houston still, but it's going to be hard. Houston's going to almost have to beat Tech and run the table. If Houston loses to Tech, then that pretty much will end that conversation right there. But because the loss that I expect BYU to have with Notre Dame doesn't affect them in conference. Mm-hmm. And Utah, I think BYU is a better team than Utah. So it's going to be a trick for Houston, but I'm sticking by my guns. I said it earlier in the preseason, way earlier, and I'm stuck to it, and I'm not going to change. It's just how it is. But I like this BYU team. I really like LJ Martin.
Yeah, I like BYU as well, and I'm glad that their coach did stay and he didn't go on and take another job somewhere else. I really feel like BYU is going to be a really good football team. They're one of those teams that, like I said before, is one of those teams that's going to be able to play really good complementary football. I think they're going to be able to run the football well. I think they have one of the best running backs in college football, if not the best. And then you couple that with the fact that they're going to have a good, solid defense. They're going to play really good complementary football. The offense is always going to have a ball control style that's going to allow their defense to get rest. And then when the offense has to get out there on the field, they're going to be able to do their thing, and the defense is going to be able to do their thing. I really like this BYU Cougar team. The schedule is very favorable for them to be one of the 3 teams that make it to that Big 12 championship game. Hopefully, they can put themselves in a position to be in it and possibly make it to the college football playoffs. I like Siaki. I like Bachmeier, LJ Martin. I really like their linebacker core and the safety that they have on that team. They got a really talented team, man. I just don't know if they're as talented as when you start looking at Texas A&M, Texas, Oregon, Georgia, those teams like that. But I like BYU to possibly make it to that championship game and be one of the teams that make it to the college football playoffs. We're going on to the next team that we have ranked in our top 25. We're going to try to speed this up a little bit because we're running right up on almost an hour, and we don't want to go more than an hour and a half. We're going to number 15, and we got the Michigan Wolverines. What's your thoughts on the Michigan Wolverines? Are you on mute?
Keep muting when I go do when I pull the graphics. I think Michigan's kind of rebuilding-ish a little bit. I know Whittingham's a good coach. I know Bryce Underwood's there. It's a program that's learning a whole new system. I think Michigan is about 4th place in the Big Ten in my mind. I think they're the 4th best team in the Big Ten. And I think they'll be better at the end of the season. Like their defense, Rod Moore, Jair Hill, love those 2. The question is, what step does Underwood take? That's going to define their season. Where does Underwood go?
Yeah, for me, I think Michigan's going to get one of those really good defensive outputs like they've had when they won that national championship game and when they were really, really good a few years ago. They've taken a back step a couple of years in a row, but now insert Kyle Whittingham, his gritty style. I think he fits the Michigan program really well. Like you said, it all depends on what is Bryce Underwood going to be able to do. Let's go on to number 14, where we have the USC Trojans, a team that we expect to take the next step, but we're not quite sure if they're going to be able to do it. We've been on the fence about this team for quite a few years, especially since Lincoln Riley has gotten there. What's your thoughts on USC?
All right, here's the deal. Lincoln Riley's there. That's all you need to know. Team's going to put up electric offense. But the good thing is, if you play fantasy college football, anybody that's playing USC, just do the whole matchup because both offenses are going to light it up because Lincoln Riley's defenses are terrible. I know they have Gary Patterson out there now. I'm not a fan of Gary Patterson's defense. I think it worked at TCU. I don't think it works in the Big Ten. We saw what Georgia did to that defense too. But USC's a good squad. They're probably in all honesty the 5th best team in the Big Ten, right behind Michigan. Got offense, got tons of offense, got tons of weapons. Number 1 recruiting class last year. But I don't trust Lincoln Riley's defense. I wouldn't trust Lincoln Riley's defense in a phone booth with the door closed.
Yeah, for me, I like USC to turn the corner this year and be able to be one of those teams that's possibly vying for a college football playoff spot. The thing that, like you said, we don't know if Lincoln Riley is going to really give Gary Patterson the leeway he needs to really run the style of defense that he wants to run. Is he going to be hands off and let Gary Patterson do what he needs to do. And we all know that it's going to take Gary Patterson a few years for that to happen. So we know their defense is going to be better, but it isn't going to be good enough to help them make it to the college football playoffs in the Big Ten. And I think they play all the West Coast teams too in UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. How can they fare against those teams? Can they come out at least 2-1? Because if they go 1-2, chances are they're not going to make the college football playoffs. Let's move on to number 13 in our ranking of top 25. We got the Alabama Crimson Tide. How do you feel about this Alabama team?
Alabama is another team that is going to be elite on defense. Okay. Their D-line has to step up a little bit. Their secondary is right there with the best secondaries in college football in the country. What are they going to get on offense? They couldn't run the ball last year. They're breaking in a new quarterback this year. What are they going to do? Who's the quarterback going to be? Keelan Russell should be the quarterback, but Austin Mack, I hear, is pushing him. Ryan Williams, what happened there? Learned to catch the ball again. I mean, he had more drops than anybody last year. I think moving him back outside is going to help. I think he was in the slot last year, or vice versa. Either way, he needs to figure it out because he was right there with Jeremiah Smith as freshman, and it's not close anymore. So we'll see what happens. Kalen DeBoer better figure it out. 4 losses at Alabama isn't going to cut it, bro. Paul Feinbaum is not going to be happy with him. So, but I honestly see Alabama having a down year. I think Alabama is 8-4. I really do, and I don't know why. I mean, I just don't have faith in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel too in terms of their offense. But once I started looking at this team a little bit more closely, I really feel like they're going to be better than what I thought they would be. Kellen DeBoer has got to turn the corner. He has some offensive weapons. Is Keelan Russell going to be the starter? Is it going to be the other guy? He's going to have to figure that thing out. But defensively, in their defensive secondary, they got some dudes, bro. So I think that if they can play good enough defense early in the season to allow that offense to gel and catch up, if they got to be able to run the football much better than they did last year, if they can do those things, this Alabama team can be better than what they were last year. They just happen to be in a really tough SEC conference where there's some teams that are freaking loaded. So that might be the reason why they don't make it to the college football playoffs this year. Going to number 12, we got Mississippi, a team that we really feel like they got a tandem there that is really, really good. When you start thinking about Trinidad Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey, Pete Golding comes in as their head coach after Lane Kiffin decides to go to LSU. They got some dudes on offense and defense. What do you think about the Mississippi Rebels?
Unknown, question mark. Return to sender, call me later. I don't know. Dynamic 2 offensive players, few dynamic defensive players. I expect the defense to be really good. I don't know about the offense. And I know that's stupid to say with Trinidad Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey back there. They need to find receivers. What's this offense look like without Lane Quinton and Charlie Weiss? What does this offense do? What are we doing? I mean, so wait and see. We're going to find out. Again, we mentioned it. Week 1, Louisville. I think that's a perfect game for Ole Miss. Solid, non-conference. Let's figure out what we've got. Because week 3, that's LSU. And We all are going to have the nation that may break Super Bowl records for viewership. That is going to be must watch. So I don't know about Ole Miss. Trust the defense. Don't expect them in the playoff. I don't expect the college football playoff out of Ole Miss this year.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss takes a step back as well. I like Pete Golding. I like the two-headed tandem they got with Trinidad Chambers and Keywan Lacey. I don't know necessarily what they're going to have at the wide receiver position. I know the offensive line will be solid, but will they be more than solid, which is what they're going to need to be. I like their defense, though. I think their defensive guys are going to be what carry them early in the season. And hopefully that defense can carry them to a win over Louisville, because they're going to need that win to really propel them, because they got a tough schedule as well. They got to play some really tough teams in the SEC, and it's going to be tough, especially when you got to go on the road for those things, man, because teams are going to be looking to take advantage of the fact that Mississippi is not as talented as they have been the past 2 years. We go on to number 11, and we got the LSU Tigers. Lane Kiffin comes in as their head coach. We know that this team has got some serious talent. They got a tough schedule, but the thing is, all of their main games they get at the crib. So that's going to be a help for them. What do you think about Lane Kiffin and this LSU Tiger team?
Look, don't be afraid of Tiger Stadium in Death Valley down there. Don't. I know it's been a while for Texas. Don't y'all look, we walked in there last year and emptied that place. We're going to do it again this year. LSU is loaded talent-wise. It's not going to click right off the bat. I'm sorry. LSU's schedule is not going to be fun. Clemson should be able to beat. If they drop that Clemson game and then they drop the Ole Miss game, brother, it's not going to – they're going to start 1-3, and people are going to be like, what is going on? Oh, Lane Kiffin's going to need a little bit. Give them a year. Yes, they're super talented. They have to figure it all out. I've said it before. Going into Death Valley, it is hard. Don't get me wrong. But they get Texas A&M there. They get Texas there. You know, that's two right there. So we'll see what happens with it. I think LSU just misses the playoffs this year. I think they have to get everything in place and go into next year is how I see LSU playing out this year. I've got them around that 8-4 range.
Yeah, I mean, I like what LSU is going to be in the future. I don't think that they're going to be one of the top 4 teams in this year's. Well, they might finish 4, but I don't see them being better than Georgia, Texas, or Texas A&M. I think that they're loaded though, and they have an opportunity to be really good. We just have to wait and see what it's going to be like. But right there where they're positioned at is probably a good spot for them. They're not in the top 10, so that means we don't have them ranked too high. But right there at number 11 is probably a good spot for them. We're going to move on to number 10, which is Texas Tech, a team that we think is loaded. Maybe they will be ranked higher had they been able to keep Sorsby at the quarterback position, which I really wasn't all that high on Sorsby like some people were. But what do you think about these Texas Tech Red Raiders?
Yeah, I'm with you. I wasn't sold. Everybody said Sorsby was the best quarterback in the portal. I don't think so. At that time, maybe, but I think once Darian Mensah entered the portal, he became the number 1 target. Texas Tech defense is going to be nasty. Texas Tech has a great running back in Cameron Dickey. What do you get from Will Hammond? Can Will Hammond stay healthy? He's coming off an ACL injury. We know that those can be what he can be 100%, but it's going to take, I think it's going to take some time. Texas Tech has turned into everybody's villain too in college football, not just the Sorsby thing. They just won't shut their mouth up. And I love Joey McGuire. Loved him from years ago. But they just can't shut their mouth up and make themselves look like fools constantly. They're the villain right now. The defense is going to be nasty. The The offense, we'll see what Hammond can do. Like I said, I have Houston beating Texas Tech in Lubbock. But I don't know that if that happens, I don't think Tech drops another game, though. That's the problem. Their schedule is so easy for them. So we'll see what happens. I couldn't put them in the top 10 based on Hammond and their schedule. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't put them inside the right there at 10 I think is a perfect spot for them. I like Joey McGuire. I mean, I love Joey McGuire as a coach, but I agree with you. They if they would just maybe close their mouths and just play, they might be better off. But they hit that portal and they got some talent on that defense. So we know that defense is going to be really good. Will the offense be able to play that complementary football that needs to be played so that defense doesn't get wore out? That's going to be remain to be seen. But their schedule is so freaking weak that we think that they can go and has the best chance of going freaking 12-0 out of anybody in college football. I like Joey McGuire, and I know he's going to have his guys ready. But are they going to play enough competitive football to be ready to be competitive in the college football playoffs? And I don't think so. At number 9, we come with the Oklahoma Sooners, a team that we think defensively is going to be lights out. John Mateer comes back in a system that he's been in for 3 or 4 years. Will their running game be better? What's your thoughts on this Oklahoma Sooner team? You're on mute.
The defense is going to be good. I think it takes a step back from last year's defense. I really do. The offense is the question here, though. It's never going to be about defense with Brent Venables. They're going to be a really, really solid defense. But it's about the offense with this team, and everybody knows this. John Mateer, I'm not sold on Mateer. I never have been. What he did, look what he did at Washington State. Bro, it's Washington State. Okay. Isaiah Satania, I like. They did upgrade their wide receivers when going out and getting Parker Livingstone, who had to be cut from Texas so they could save money for Cam Coleman. But that's a different subject. Running back they could not run the ball. That offensive line, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they have 4 or all 5 of their offensive linemen back. But their offensive line was broke. If you think wet toilet paper, they just crumbled last year. They were terrible. And the running game suffered from it. But they have to be able to run the ball. Mateer has to stay healthy for them to have any chance. And like I said, I'm not a Mateer fan. I just haven't been.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma is going to have one of the best defenses in the country. I do think they take a step back when you lose that edge rusher that they had last year. But I think they still got some dudes on that defense, and they're going to be really good. But the key thing for them, running game. Did they improve their running game? And I don't think so. I think their offensive line is going to be a year older, but have they gotten good enough to compete in a conference that we know if you can't run the freaking football and you get made one-dimensional and you got to rely on John Mateer to win you games in the SEC, it's just not going to happen. I think they're going to be good enough to be ranked where they are now, and we got them at number 9. I think they're good enough to be there, but we don't see them as one of the upper echelon teams who could possibly win a national championship with that roster that they have. But I think they'll be good defensively. We got to wait and see what they do offensively. At number 8, we come in with the Texas A&M Aggies. And I think from here on up to number 1, we feel like all of these teams have enough talent that they could go on a run in the college football playoffs and possibly win a title. What's your thoughts on your Texas A&M Aggies? I'll go first, and then I'll let you finish them off. I really like Mike Elko and what he's done with this program. I really feel like at home, they are practically unbeatable at home. Their fans are some of the best fans in the country. Their atmosphere is freaking electric. I really like this team. I think Marcel Reed takes that step that he needs to take as a quarterback from 2 years ago, even to last year, where he made some timely mistakes and thrown some bad balls that got intercepted. I think he rebounds from that. I think Mario Craver might be the best wide receiver, or he's definitely top 2 or 3 in this conference. I mean, you talk about a lot of good guys in this conference at the wide receiver position, but you can't make Mario Craver take a back seat to any of them guys. He's electric. I think defensively they did what they needed to do to bolster up that defense to fit what Mike Elko wants to do. They got a lot of guys that they got to work into that offensive line, and if they get that fixed and the running game is there, this Texas A&M team is going to be really, really good. What's your thoughts on your Aggies?
Marcel admitted it, and I take that. I love that. At the end of last year, even going into this year, he admitted he made some bad mistakes at the end of games down the stretch. He said those were on him. Remember, that was his first year as a starting quarterback. It just so happens that he had his mistakes late. Go back. Arch Manning was a first-year starter last year, right? He had his mistakes early. Mm-hmm. They both had them. They're just one was better to have him at the beginning than at the end. Craver, you mentioned not getting into that. Problem for A&M last year was defense, stopping the run. Not necessarily the run, but the explosive run. That has been fixed. I can tell you right now that will be. Mike Elko has fixed that with the portal. Ray Coney, having Damian Sanford come back healthy. He's 100%. He's not going full speed yet in fall camp, but he's back and he's 100% healthy. Got to work him in. Fine. The secondary is going to be elite. It is one of the best secondaries. Mike Elko said the best he's ever had. Marcel Reed's the key in the offensive line. The running game, I don't have any issues with. I think Ruben Owens steps up, and I'm going to tell you something. You've mentioned him before, too. Terry Bussey is showing out in fall camp. So I like where we are. I see a college football playoff for us. Everybody's 8-4, 8-4, 9-3. I see A&M 10-2. I see them starting the season 8-0. That's including a win at Bama. And then I could see him splitting the last 2 down the stretch: South Carolina, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas. I could see him 2-2 in that stretch. And 10-2 gets you in the playoffs.
Yeah, I really like that, man. I really like Texas A&M in the direction that they're going with their program. At number 7, we come in with the defending champions. And I know some people might look at our list and say, well, they're the defending champions. They should at least be in your top 5. Well, we don't think that they're, in our opinion, better than the teams that we have ahead of them. We really like Indiana. We feel like Indiana can be one of those teams because they got a lot of experience. We love Kurt Cignetti and his staff and what he's able to do. What's your thoughts on the Indiana Hoosiers? 16-0 last year, defending national champs.
Well, Cignetti, it runs a business. I mean, that's how he runs it. Everybody has a job. Do your job or get fired, and we'll find somebody that will do your job. I'm not Hoover. We're going to see. Hoover's not Mendoza. I'm going to say that. I think Hoover was good at TCU. Again, I need to see it play out on the field. The Big 12 isn't the Big 10. And some of the defenses he's going to face in the Big 10 are going to be nasty. Luckily, Cignetti knows how to handle that, and well, that's fine. I think Indiana's down here, and let me justify this when I talk about the rankings when I added them. From here up was very, very close with all these teams. One vote another way would have swung things. The gap was from here to A&M. That's where the gap was. I like this team, like what they bring back, but I just think this is where they are. I think the teams in front of them have a little bit more. Indiana's good, but I think the other teams have a little bit more, and that's why they're sitting 7th.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think the teams that we have ahead of them right now they just have more talent than they do. I really like this Indiana team. Will they go 16-0? No, I don't think they go 16-0. They're in a really tough conference. When you start thinking about some of the teams we haven't mentioned from their conference that is in this top 6 that we're going to have, or top 5 that we're going to have, 6. I just feel like Indiana's going to be one of those good competitive teams. I just don't think they're going to do what they did last year. But I do like them as a team. At number 6, we have the Miami Hurricanes, a team that we feel like is loaded on both sides of the ball. We know what they got offensively. We know they bring in Darian Mensah. What's your thoughts on the Miami Hurricanes and Mario Cristobal?
Man, Mensah, Tony, Fletcher. I mean, you know they're going to have a decent. They did lose some offensive linemen, so I'm curious there. So that's kind of one thing that's all hesitant. Defensively, I mean, let's just Bryce Fitzgerald. I mean, good Lord, we mentioned him just the other day. But to me, defensively, yes, they've got some guys and they've got some players, but bro, you just lost 2 first-round DN bookends. I know Jason Taylor's out there and can coach them up, but losing that kind of talent, it's going to take a minute. Miami got a draw. They have Notre Dame, and I don't even know who else they play. Maybe Clemson might be their toughest games this whole year. Miami should run the ACC. Miami should run the ACC and be in the ACC championship game. But we know Miami loves to stumble when they shouldn't. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like this Miami team. They're loaded everywhere. I do got some question marks for them when it comes to their offensive line and the bookends that they lost. But I think overall in the conference that they're in, they should go 11-0, 9-0 in conference. I think the only loss that they have might come to Notre Dame in that game. So I got them at 11-1, and we're going to do our show with Justin Geiger here in a week or so, and we'll do our breakdown on the Miami Hurricanes with him. But I really like this Miami Hurricane team. I think I might have had them higher than 6 on my board. I really like them, but I think that they are a team that they still got some things they got to figure out before they turn the corner and be ready to make another run like they did last year to make it to the championship game against Indiana. We're going into our top 5, and at number 5, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. What's your thoughts on this Georgia team? Can Georgia get back to the dominance that they had a couple of years ago where they won back-to-back national championships?
I don't know that this team can get back to that level of dominance. Their defense is really good under Kirby, as we expect. I got the number 1 safety in our rankings, KJ Bolden. Got a great cornerback in Elias Robinson. Got a killer running back there with Nate Frazier. Your question marks, Gunnar Stockton. And who's going to catch the ball? They have not been really they don't have that deep threat that Georgia always used to have. They had him last year, but they didn't use him that way. Mm-hmm. So with Branch. So let's see what they do with it and what's Gunnar get you. Gunner's a dog. I think Gunner's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but I think he's a very good quarterback. And he'll get you the yardage you need. He's just a guy. But Kirby's going to have a good defense. To be honest, I don't think there are some people saying Georgia is a national title contender. I don't see that. I see Georgia maybe semifinalish.
Yeah, I like the Georgia team. I think that they should be mentioned as the best team in the SEC because of what they've been able to do in terms of winning the SEC year in and year out the last 4, 5, or 6 years. I like Gunnar Stockton. Is he like the greatest quarterback in college football? No, but he's very serviceable. He's able to do some things. He impressed me in the Tennessee game, being able to make those throws down the field. I think tight end wise, they're going to be really good. I love Nate Frazier. I love KJ Bolden and Elias Robinson. I think they're going to be really good defensively, as Georgia teams always are. Will they be able to muster up enough points when they play against some of these better teams in the SEC? And if they make it to the championship game, will they be able to put up enough points? And will they be able to find a wide receiver on the outside that they can go to down the field? Coming in at number 4, I believe we have the Texas Longhorns. Coach Steve Sarkisian left out of the college football playoffs last year. This team is really loaded. What's your thoughts on this Texas team?
This team's good. This team has everything that you need. Arch Manning, great quarterback, grew up last year. The question is, does he have a sophomore slump? That's always something you have to bring up with quarterbacks. We've seen it time and time again. Ryan Wingo has got to get better hands. He had way too many drops last year. The addition of Cam Coleman, Hollywood Hollywood Smothers.
Yeah.
And who was it? Raleek Brown. Is that the other one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. The additions there are huge. Bringing back an NFL lineman never hurts. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you on that one. Colin Simmons. I mean, come on. Colin Simmons or Jeremiah Smith are probably the arguing for who's the best player in college football, in my mind. They can just say, we'll split it, one offense, one defense, because that's how I feel. But Jelani McDonald is going to be the leader of a secondary that needs some leadership. So Texas has everything they need. It's just, can they put it together for the full season? They remind me of a Miami. They like to stumble when they shouldn't. And they got some games on their schedule this year at LSU, at A&M. They got the OU game. So you got Ohio State coming up week 2. So Texas has all the makings of a team that could compete for a national title. They just can't stumble.
Yeah, I agree with you. Texas is a team that stumbles quite often, man, every year whenever they play against a competition that's way below them. And they have those times where they just don't play to caliber football to the talent that they have. Their talent is loaded on this team. I really think if they put it all together, and it sounds like they are, and we'll talk a lot more about that when we do our preview on the Texas Longhorns. But I really like Arch Manning and the confidence that he has. He can't afford to have a sophomore slump. He has plenty of weapons around him in the backfield at wide receiver. But will the offensive line gel enough? That's a question mark for Texas. That's been a question mark going forward for a long time. Will their offensive line be good? Defensively, we know they got a lot of talent over there, but what is the defensive secondary going to look like? Are they going to find a covered safety? I think they're going to be okay with Bo Masco on one side, but can Grayson Littleton move from the star position playing the slot and now play the corner? And then who's going to play that star position? Who's going to play that slot? We know Will Muschamp wants to do a lot of stuff in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback and coming after guys, but will they be able to hold up on the back end? That remains to be seen, but I really like this Texas Longhorns team. I think 4 is a really good spot for them. I think I might have had them at 5 on my board, but 4 is just as good. We go on to number 3, where we have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Our man Post Games team came in at number 3 for us. We wish he was on the show, but we're going to do a preview with them. And if you get an opportunity, go to Post Game Sports and check out the preview he did with some of his friends who are also Notre Dame fans, and check out his video on that. But we'll do his preview later on. But what's your thoughts on Notre Dame? And do you see Notre Dame going undefeated? You're on mute.
I know we have a show coming up with post game and doing a team preview, so I don't want to get too in depth here. We'll leave a lot of that for post game. Can Notre Dame go undefeated? Yeah, they should. I don't have them going undefeated. I actually have them losing one game. I have them slipping to SMU. I don't know why. I don't know that anybody's going undefeated in college football this year. And so I have them slipping to an SMU. Rob, this team is loaded. This team might be more loaded than Texas is. This team is loaded. That defense is nasty. Notre Dame received one first-place vote in our top, just one, and it was mine. I put them number 1. They're my number 1 team in the country, and I'll stand by it. So I don't want to get too involved. Like I said, we have a show coming up with post-game. We let him break it down a lot more than we could. So really, really good team. So we'll go with that.
Yeah, I think I had them number 2 on my board when I did my rankings. I really feel like this Notre Dame team, the reason why I had them 2 is because of all the freaking talent they got on this team. They are freaking loaded. I think they got 3 games on their schedule that we know are going to be really good contests for them. And I feel like when you look at the teams that we talked about in our top 7 or 8, all of those teams have teams on their schedule that can get them prepared for a run in the college football playoffs. Notre Dame has SMU, they have Miami, they have BYU. All 3 good contests that can get them prepared for the college football playoffs. I think they have a chance to go undefeated. It's going to be tough because those 3 teams are going to be really tough to beat. But I really like this Notre Dame team and what Marcus Freeman is doing there. They are freaking loaded. At number 2, we got the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 2 on our board. Another team that we feel like has a lot of talent. We expect for them to be right up there in the thick of things. What's your thoughts on Ryan Day and these Ohio State Buckeyes? And we're going to do a preview on them in the upcoming weeks as well with our man One Take Zaya and our man T1. So what's your thoughts on the Ohio State Buckeyes?
I mean, perennial contender. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Ryan Day just reloads. I mean, they lost Hartline this year as the OC. So we're going to see. I don't think it's going to matter too much. If you don't, I could probably be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, and we do pretty well because I would just say, get the ball to that guy, meaning Jeremiah Smith. Just give it to him. And then when you can't get it to him, hand it to this guy, Bo Jackson. They're good. They're really good. I do have questions defensively after losing that much talent to the NFL. I really have questions there. I expect they'll get it fixed, but that would be the one thing I have questions about. And I'm going to say this: Ohio State is much like A&M. They need to find a kicking game because they've struggled in that department too. That has cost them a few. So, can the defense step up to what it was? Can they find that kicking game? And other than that, I don't have any questions really about Ohio State.
Yeah, for me, I really like this Ohio State football team. I think I might have had them 3 or 4 on my board. I really think that for me, is Julian Sain going to figure out what he wasn't able to do last year and be able to do it this year? He can't afford to take those sacks, and he can't afford to get rattled when it's not there. He got to learn how to pick up that first down. Will he do that? Will, like you mentioned, defensively, they lost a lot of talented football players. I mean, we got to see where these guys went in the NFL draft last year. Will they be able to replace these guys right off the bat? I know they got some really talented guys who are really skilled coming in to fill in for those guys, but are they going to be ready to play at that level that they need to play? Because Ohio State has one of the tougher schedules in the country. And if they aren't going to be able to navigate that, and I might have a bold prediction on one of these shows, I ain't going to say it today, but I might have a bold prediction about these Ohio State Buckeyes on another show. I'm just still contemplating on whether or not I want to say it. But I like this Ohio State team. I like what they got. Can they answer the questions defensively from all of the talent that they lost?
Well, let me give you my bold take for him in case I missed that show. I think Ohio State rolls into Austin and gets beat by 17.
That's a bold prediction.
I honestly see it.
I can see it too. I hope so.
But now that I said that, Ohio State will win by 43 or something.
Right. You know. We appreciate you, Time 188, always joining in with us, family. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Our number one team is the Oregon Ducks, coming at number one in WTP Sports Top 25 before the season starts. What's your thoughts on this Oregon Ducks team? Because, boy, they are freaking loaded.
I don't know that loaded does justice. Anybody my age back in the day got up and watched cartoons in the morning, and you saw the Hall of Justice for the Super Friends, all the heroes. That's what Oregon is. Dude, Dante Moore, DeCorian Moore. I mean, Evan Stewart, if he's healthy. Good offensive line. The offense is stacked. We flip to the defense. We did our defensive rankings by all positions. Oregon had a player at every level, at least one. Mateo, that guy, the one on the left, and the other one, Tuiato. Oregon is stacked, man. I don't know what else to say about them. They're just so. If Dan Lanning can't get to the championship game, not win it, get to it this year, there's going to be questions starting to arise with this roster. The same thing that's on down in Austin with Sark. If he can't get there this year, I don't know what's going to take. But this is Dan Lanning's best shot right here, in my mind. So, to me, they're the favorites to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, for me too. I had them number one on my board. You just can't have that kind of talent on your roster and not be the number one team in the country. I mean, we saw a few years ago where Ohio State brought back all of those defensive guys. Oregon does it this year. If they get a healthy DeCorian Moore and a healthy Evan Stewart at the wide receiver position, and then I think they got another guy that's in the slot that's really good as well. Dante Moore, to me, is the best quarterback in college football this year. We know what their defense is going to look like. They got two monsters at defensive tackle, and they got two monsters at the edge. They got a sophomore cornerback that can cover one side of the field and take everything away. I really like this Oregon team. The thing is, and you know what the knock is on them all the time, yes, regular season, Oregon is gold. But when they get in the playoffs, can they get it done? This is the year. I'm telling you now, if Dan Lanning does not win the national championship this year, he might not be on the hot seat, but listen, it's going to really be made true that he cannot play or Oregon cannot win in the playoffs, and that's going to forever haunt them until they win a championship game, even more so than it's haunting them right now. I like this team. I think they got the most talent.
Let me say this real quick, too. This isn't an excuse for Dan Lanning in Oregon. But let's remember, I think they lost both coordinators. I know the OC for sure is the head coach at Kentucky now. I think the DC left too.
Yeah.
So, that's still not an excuse. With that kind of returning talent on offense and defense, Rob, we could go be coordinators and probably be okay. I mean, look, Dante, just go do something. It doesn't matter. Just get the quarterback. And that's that. This is the best defensive line in college football. I know there's been rumors flying that Texas has it. Texas does not have that on defensive line.
I agree with you. I mean, I think
they don't.
I think they got a good defensive line, but they did not match with Oregon's at all. And I'm a Texas Longhorn fan, and I'm telling you right now, I think Oregon has the best defensive front in college football when you start talking about their first starting forward. They are legit the best, in my opinion. Yeah. We appreciate everybody for joining in with us and staying with us for an hour and 40 minutes plus. SEC Sean, I appreciate you. The graphics was unbelievable again. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. All of our channels are scrolling across the top. Please go and check out all of our channels and subscribe to them so we can continue to bring you good content. We'll be back again tomorrow morning when we talk about the Big Ten over and under show, and we're going to see how many of those teams are going to meet their over and under win totals. So make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Anything else you want to add, SEC Sean, before we go?
Not a thing. Great show. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Time, Lawrence, everybody over there. Go like, subscribe all the channels, guys. Hit the notification bell. We're fixing to ramp this thing up for football season, so come jump on with us.
Yeah, for sure. And make sure y'all go check out SEC Sean and Doug's podcast last night on Texas. Was it 4A football? Their 4A football. Go check that out, man, because that is very informational when you start talking about some of the high school talent that's out there in the state of Texas. So go check that out as well. SEC Sean, I appreciate you, bro. I will see you again tomorrow. Of course, we're going to hit each other up in the chat, but you have a good rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon.